Hi, my name is Kelly from Kelly's Tutoring, and in today's video we're going to look at how to improve your child's public speaking. So first of all, what is public speaking? For many, it conjures up the scenario whereby there's one person at the front presenting or giving a talk to an audience, or now that everything's online, you have the host or presenter speaking to an online audience. Now, is that strictly speaking what public speaking is all about? We've all had that situation where we have been sitting in the audience, eagerly anticipating the speaker, only to be bored and disappointed. Now, why is that? It's because we feel we're being spoken at rather than being spoken to, which is why I feel it is better to position it as how to improve communication skills rather than public speaking skills. So why is this important for your child? Well, if they're preparing for the 7 plus, the 11 plus, or the 13 plus, then they will need to perfect their interview skills. They will need to feel confident and comfortable with speaking to an audience in an informal and intimate setting. If your child is studying GCSE or A-levels, then they will need to be able to speak confidently, as part of their English exam is a spoken element. They have to give a presentation on a topic of their choice. And indeed, other subjects actually ask for presentations, and this is because it's a great revision tool, and it's because your child has to assimilate all the information and put it together in a cohesive manner in a form of a speech. And if they can present on it, almost teach the audience about it, then it shows that they have a greater understanding of it and perhaps are better able then to apply their knowledge to other settings. So with that in mind then, what is communication? Well, communication is a two-way process, and it involves one key thing, which is my first top tip for improving communication, which is listening. You need to listen to your audience. You need to listen to what they want and what they need. Now, you might be thinking, well, how can you find out if, for example, you have your child has the scenario whereby they are having to speak to an interviewer? Well, you can do some research. You can go onto the school's website. You can look at the school's values, their ethos, what is important to that school, and you can pick out buzzwords, keywords, and ideas that will allow you to see, well, what is it that they want, what is it that they need, and therefore your child can adapt their answers, not lie, but adapt their answers to ensure that they are speaking to that specific audience. Now, if your child is doing their GCSEs or A-levels, then they may be asked to write a speech for an abundant of scenarios and circumstances. So the best way then is for your child then to perhaps do some research on environmentalists, politics, teens, look at the most popular websites, the most popular online magazines and articles, so that they have an idea of what it is that's interesting this audience. And that way then they'll have some ideas of what they can write or speak about. Now, what is great about this is this not only informs and improves their spoken communication, but it also improves their written communication. Improving communication skills actually translates also to creative writing. And that is because in exams, your child will have to write for a purpose, the point, and for a target audience. And so by being able to understand what's important to them, what they value, what interests them, it can help them to use that skill to think, well, actually, what is the purpose of my story? Is it to entertain, to shock? Who is my target audience? Is it other students like me? Yeah, that might be true, but who is the wider audience, the examiner? What is it that they are looking for? And that leads me on then to the message. Being very clear on the message, the point of your speech, is crucial in ensuring that you are communicating effectively. And that is because quite often you will hear speakers going off on a tangent. Even in writing, students will go off on a tangent, and you can recognize it by them waffling, repeating themselves unnecessarily, by the use of mixed imagery that doesn't make too much sense. So by being clear on the message, it can help to ensure that you communicate your point effectively. And so that way then your audience or reader will be able to take away exactly what it is you want. So what is a message? Well, let me give you an example. In Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, one of the messages is to be humble, humility. And we can see that because Harry Potter, the protagonist, is very humble. Some of his antagonists are the opposite. So for example, the Dursleys, we see his family believing that they are better than him, and we can see that in the way they treat him and speak to him. Another antagonist is Malfoy. Malfoy actually advises Harry that he should be friends with him and not Ron Weasley. And it's because of who he is, his family. And so therefore he believes because of his status, he is therefore far superior. And then finally, we have Lord Voldemort. And Lord Voldemort, well, he believes he's better than absolutely everyone in the world, which is why he wants basically a dictatorship, doesn't he? And you can see, therefore, that by knowing the message, you can see how it actually translates with the characters, the plot, and even some of the language and imagery, because Harry is the complete opposite. He's very humble, from the clothes he wears, to the words he uses, to even his self-belief. So the idea is that the message, therefore, is humility, that we should be humble, that it's okay to have talents. You know, Harry is famous, he has talents, he can speak Parseltongue, and yet he still remains humble, which makes him likable, which keeps him grounded, and enables him to not, treat people disrespectfully. So being clear on the message, and that actually, if you're clear on your message, will help to craft the speech and craft the creative writing. And that is because then it informs your techniques, what techniques to use. If you're clear on the message, then you'll be thinking, well, what is the best way to convey this message? What tools can I use? And there are so many that I'm only going to talk about 3. And the 3 I'm going to talk about are ethos, pathos, and logos. So ethos relates to the character of the speaker or the writer. Why should anyone listen to you? So for example, if your child has the topic of write a speech or give a speech to your school, which includes parents and governors, about why homework should be banned, then ethos, why should they listen to your child? Well, as a student at that school, your child has first-hand experience, and therefore it adds a lot of weight to what they say. But it could be construed as being quite biased. So how to mitigate that? Well, your child can acknowledge the other perspectives. So it can acknowledge the stress that it puts on teachers and parents to get homework completed. By doing that, it helps to show that the student has thought widely about the subject, and they're not just putting their own views, but they're considering others. And therefore, it gives credit to them as an authority on the subject. Then you can look at pathos, which is emotions. Why should the audience care? Why should the audience care about this? Well, again, you can use emotive language, you can use anecdotes, which are short stories, so that you directly engage and involve the audience. So for example, you could say something like, my friend Ben is a casualty of horrid homework. Both his parents work long hours. When they came home from work, all they wanted to do was relax and enjoy time with their children. And then you can use a question, who can relate to that? So it gets the audience to think about that. And so it puts them in the story. And then you can move on from there by saying, okay, well, because of the sheer amount of homework Ben had to do, his parents couldn't do that. Instead, they had to sit up and try to help him through it. Now, before you blame Ben, Ben tried his best to complete it. It was just like so many of us students, he struggled because of its complexity and because of the amount he had to do, which led to arguments. one of his parents would want to go to bed and just write a note to his teachers explaining he couldn't complete it, while another parent wanted to get up extra early to make sure it was done. So it caused unnecessary stress and tension in that household. Can you see how that involves the reader, involves the audience, and that way then you're not just talking directly at them and you're making them feel empathy, sympathy, and they can relate to it themselves. And then finally, logos, logic. This is how you craft the speech, how you piece it together using cohesive features. So like firstly, secondly, thirdly, finally, to begin with. These are all markers to help the audience know where you are in your speech. And it also could be the use of statistics and facts. Again, why again should the audience listen to you? Why should they, does your argument even make sense? Banning homework seems counterintuitive for many people because it's the done thing, right? So using research and statistics and facts can help to prove your point. So again, it's great if your child starts to research and builds up a bank of knowledge in specific areas so that they can draw on this. But in an exam or in a situation whereby that's not possible, they can make it up, but it can't be unreasonable or ridiculous. But if it's something, for example, an interview, then it has to be strictly true. And if you've had time to prepare, then it should be true because then you could have used that time to research. But in an exam, you can make it up. So to conclude, to be a better public speaker, be a better communicator. Not only will it inform, your oral communication skills, but it'll also improve your written communication skills and therefore improve creative writing. And if you want more tips and tricks, then I would encourage you to look at the link below to the link which will take you to the event on the 19th of December. It's a fun family event. It's completely free and it's going to be suitable for the whole family. And there will be 3 expert speakers who will be speaking on how to overcome, mental block, creativity when, you can't feel writer's block, how to interject life in your writing and your speeches through storytelling, and how to add humor. So if you want more information and to book your tickets, click the link below. It's on the 19th of December at 5 p.m. Bye for now.